How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I am going to be counting down my top 10 favorite TV shows of 2023. A lot of good shows came out this year, and I just wanted to talk about them. So without further ado, let's jump on into this. Starting off at number 10, I have The Continental from the world of John Wick. This is a very, I guess you could say, controversial pick. I haven't heard a lot of great things from this show. A lot of people, I don't think, were huge fans of it, but me personally, I really enjoyed this show, man. It was only like a 3-part miniseries, although each episode was like an hour and a half. What was that about? So it was more of an event, but I'm still counting it as a TV show because it was on Peacock, and every week I tuned in like it was a TV show. And I just love the craziness of this. I'm a huge fan of the John Wick series, obviously, and right off the bat, I'll say it's nowhere near the level of the 4 John Wick movies, but that should be obvious. I feel like that should be obvious. It has a much smaller budget, and I feel like that should just be something everyone should know going into the series. But, the finale in particular was basically one long action sequence. So fun. This show was just fun to me. And I really enjoyed Mel Gibson's character and just the overall 70s vibe, because I do believe the show did take place in the 70s, and also has a great soundtrack because of that. They're blaring like 70s music every 10 seconds, and hey man, I love that stuff. So just a really, really fun series, and I don't know, I think it definitely deserves a spot here on the list. But moving on to number 9, I have Dead City, the new Negan and Maggie show, Walking Dead spinoff. And I reviewed all 6 episodes, so if you want to hear a bit more in-depth thoughts on each one, you can go check that out. They're on the channel. But it was just really cool seeing Negan and Maggie again and their whole dynamic. And also, it was great seeing a new setting in the Walking Dead universe. Always fun to see. New York, Manhattan. Looked really cool, actually. Like, I remember seeing the trailer for the first time for this show and thinking to myself, wow, this actually looks pretty good. And overall, the show introduces great new characters. You got the Croat as kind of this new villain, kind of adds a little more to Negan's backstory as well. And we also got like that brief flashback of Simon. That was a really cool scene that Stephen Ogg reprises his role as Simon. Obviously, I love that character, and that was really cool that he did that. And overall, I just thought the show was really fun and interesting, and I'm really excited to see what they do in season 2. But yeah, love Dead City, and that's at number 9. So moving on to number 8, I have Invincible season 2. Now, of course, it hasn't wrapped up yet. There are only 4 episodes out, but these first 4 episodes were really great. I love that they're just adapting stuff from the comics. The return of Omni-Man was handled amazingly. Like, I knew what was going to happen. I knew where he was and, when he was going to show up. Well, actually, that's not really true. I didn't know how the show was going to replicate that. I didn't exactly know when they were going to reintroduce Omni-Man. I think it's great. Oh, it was just so well executed. The first few episodes, you don't really see Omni-Man. You only see Omni-Man from a different universe, but it's not, our Omni-Man that we know. And you don't know where he is. It's so good. And then finally, at the end of episode 3, I believe, he shows up, and it's just so good, man. And I love Mark's reaction to it. You're also building up Angstrom Levy as one of the main antagonists of this season. And we also got like the Alan the Alien episode. That was really great. It's also, just very funny stuff. It's really good. This show's really good. I'm excited to see how this season wraps up. But yeah, I am including it on the list, even just off these first 4 episodes, because that's how good they were, to be honest. Just good stuff. Anyway, moving on to number 7, I have The Last of Us. Now, of course, I wouldn't say this is as good as the game, but it's still really strong and a great adaptation. You got great casting, of course, which I will say I was a bit hesitant going into the show with Pedro Pascal as Joel. I love Pedro Pascal, but I didn't know if he was the right fit for Joel. I'll be honest. I was one of those people who didn't know if he was the right fit for Joel. He definitely is. He's great, And of course, Bella Ramsey as Ellie is really fantastic as well. He's got a great budget for this show as well. This is something I wish The Walking Dead could really pull off. And again, we talked about it with Dead City. they do try and create this large-scale apocalyptic setting, but they never quite get to the level The Last of Us gets to. And I really love how the show looks overall. It's absolutely beautiful in my opinion. I will say a little rush. Certain episodes do take away from the overarching narrative, but overall it's just a really cool and interesting show and really solid adaptation overall. Anyways, moving on to number 6, I have Lucky Hank. I did a whole video talking about the cancellation of this show, and it's upsetting. I mean, I got some Lucky Hank haters, though, in the comments, to be honest. I mean, some people weren't really digging the show. It is what it is. You have the right to your own opinion and whatever, but I thought the show was pretty fantastic. Bob Odenkirk was great in it. It was a very smart show, in my opinion. Very well written, very funny as well, and in a very witty way. And also just kind of like a great character study. It's kind of a simplistic type of show, but there's a lot of layers to it, man. And they definitely could have done a season 2. So it's a damn shame that they don't, have a season 2. And it did unfortunately get canceled. But the first season was really solid, and I guess I would recommend it. It still does tell a complete story. Like, it wasn't like left on a huge cliffhanger or anything, but I do wish we would get a season 2, but obviously that's not going to happen. But season 1 was really good, in my opinion. Anyways, moving on to number 5, I have Barry season 4. Of course, I reviewed this season as it was airing on the channel, talked about each episode, and for the most part, man, loved this season. And I know there's some kind of, mixed opinions about this season. Some people were saying it was a little rushed, but I don't know. I mean, I thought it was still a great ending. I personally liked the ending. I will say I don't know if this ending was always planned from the get-go. Like, I don't know if, at the very start of season 1, if Bill Hader had this in mind and, the rest of the people working on the show. But I know he's, really, he directed, I think, pretty much every episode of season 4. So he's, really into this show and at the forefront. And I don't know if he had the ending planned when he first started, but if he did, well, then fair enough. But it really does take a dark turn in the second half of this season. But it's absolutely haunting, and I thought it was really entertaining throughout and really emotional at certain moments as well. Like Fuchs and Barry's final scene together in the finale where they're just looking at each other and there's not really any words exchanged there. Really good stuff. And me personally, I thought it was a bit of a different season for the show, but it was still really engaging overall. I still really liked it. That's why it's at number 5. Anyways, at number 4, I have a fun show, The Eric Andre Show, Season 6. Yeah, man. If you guys don't know by now, this is probably my favorite comedic show, I guess you could say. Obviously, it's not a sitcom, but it is a very, very funny series. Season 6, I do think, is probably the weakest season we've gotten so far, but it's not quite as good as some of the other seasons, that were released earlier, but it's still good. They have a very high budget now, you can tell, and they have a bunch of like elaborate pranks and props that they'll use. And I thought a lot of the celebrity interviews were very funny, with Jaden Smith especially, and Donald Glover's interview was funny. John Hamm was another good one. A lot of funny moments this season. Drew Barrymore randomly showing up as well in that one skit that they were doing, or that one prank. It's just so funny, man. It's a great show. It always, lightens my spirits, and it's good stuff, man. It's so funny. Anyways, at number 3, I have Jury Duty. This show probably deserves to be at number 1, but I'm only putting it at number 3 just because these next 2 are like really, really, really good. But this is like a weird blend between reality television and scripted comedy. Now, most of it is scripted, but there is one person who is not in on the joke, basically. Ronald Gladden. He is a real person. He has no idea that he's being, pranked pretty much. And this is a show that I really think could never be replicated again, but it was so brilliant. It's such a brilliant concept, and it was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off every single second I was watching this show. I don't want to talk about it too much more because I do think, if you haven't seen the show, you need to watch it. It's great. It really was one of the best things not just a TV show, but, movies included as well. It was one of the best things I watched this year, and was definitely a highlight of 2023. But anyway, moving on to number 2, I have The Bear season 2. I did a whole video talking about season 2 and how I was saying I actually think this is better than season 1. I actually explored way more of the characters and very interesting dynamics and very interesting ways. Not even just like the main characters, but some of the side characters that are, well, kind of sidelined in season 1. We get to actually know more about them. I thought that was a cool thing they did this season. Also, just great cinematography. I mean, that's something that was carried over from season 1, but there's just some like really long one shots that are in this season that are really well executed overall, and absolutely terrific performances. I mean, the Christmas episode is legendary. Of course, when you have Bob Odenkirk again, but also John Bernthal and Jeremy Allen White, of course, is the lead of this show, and he's always fantastic. Jamie Lee Curtis is in this season as well. So many celebrities, but they're all great actors, and that episode is just so it is so intense. It's so intense. I was glued to the screen. Loved this season, man. Also, very tragic ending as well. I'm wondering what they'll do with season 3. Like, it was kind of a downer ending, at least for Carmi's character. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it was just a great season overall, though, and definitely deserves a spot this high on the list. But moving on to number 1, my favorite show of 2023, it is, of course, Succession season 4. And this is, I would say, one of the best endings to a show I've seen. It's not the best, it's not better than Better Call Saul's or Breaking Bad's, or even The Sopranos. I really like The Sopranos ending, but it is still a really strong ending in my opinion. A lot of people have said not many people are talking about it anymore. Ever since it's ended, it's kind of faded into oblivion. I mean, I guess, but okay. I just thought it was really good while it was airing. And, the Logan's death episode is just crazy. I mean, Connor's wedding is, wow. I mean, it's just one of the best episodes in the entire, well, just one of the best episodes in TV history, but obviously in the entire show, it's one of the best. And just all the aftermath that they kind of have to deal with for the rest of the season, and dealing with Lucas Matson. It's exciting, and the performances are at an all-time high. I mean, Jeremy Strong, he's awesome, man. He's great as Kendall Roy, and just so many riveting moments throughout. I mean, this season, oh my God, the way it ends with Kendall just looking out on the water, dude, just crazy stuff. I mean, it was heartbreaking though, because I love Kendall. But there you guys go. Those are my top 10 favorite shows of the year. Of course, let me hear your favorite series that you watched this year down in the comments. And if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.